So Holy Stone are finally releasing the HS600 drone here in the UK. This has already been out in the States for a little while, and it has been a popular model. So Holy Stone got in touch with me to see if I wanted to give this one a go, which of course I did. So they sent this to me in exchange for sharing a few thoughts with you. So folks, I've just come outside. The drone has taken off. I'm not pushing anything on the controller here. You can see how it is keeping its position on its own using that GPS lock. It is extremely stable, arguably one of the most stable Holy Stone drones I have ever flown. I am really impressed with this, very happy. Not only was I pleasantly surprised by the flight stability that the HS600 offers, but also by the optics as well. The image stabilisation here is probably some of the best I've ever seen with a Holy Stone drone. And that's because it uses a combination of a 2-axis gimbal along with some enhanced image stabilisation software. So along with the drone itself, inside the box you get this nice hard protective carrying case, the controller and 2 batteries. Now, the batteries each provide up to 28 minutes of flight time, so you are looking at 56 minutes max if you have both fully charged when you take this out with you. The camera system uses a Sony lens, is able to record both video and photo at 4K and video up to 30 frames per second. There is a slot on the side for your micro SD card. I'm not sure what the limit on SD cards is, but this drone handled my 128GB card without any issues whatsoever. And the drone itself is quite weighty, but the great thing about that is it does have a high level 5 wind resistance. And one thing I will say is that the controller is 10 times better than some of Holy Stone's previous controllers that I've used. It's clearly a good quality controller. It has the antenna here in order to boost the range that you can fly to, and Holy Stone are rating this for up to 3,000 meters, which is 1.8 miles in range. And the other thing I'm really satisfied with, and has actually exceeded my expectations, is that when I connect my phone to this controller, which by the way is over Wi-Fi as you do not connect it via a cable, the latency of the FPV view is really low. But the image quality of the footage itself is also a big step up as far as I'm concerned from any other Holy Stone drone that I've flown with before. And again, I think that is down to the higher quality Sony sensor that Holy Stone have included here. So I've been able to fly this a few times now, but here's some footage from my first test flight a few days ago. Starting the motors is simple enough. Just push both control sticks down and inwards, and then once they're going, you're ready to take off. As you can see, the drone has a lot of stability with that GPS lock, and I'm going to be testing out some of the features. So let's gain a little bit of height, a little bit of range. So I've just dropped the gimbal down a touch. I'm going to start recording now as well, so that you can see the type of video footage that can be expected with the HS600. And I've got to say, for Holy Stone's drones, this is probably one of the best all-round models that I've ever flown from them. Not only is the drone super stable, I'm looking at it now in the sky, and it isn't moving, it's holding its position very well, but that 2-axis gimbal is going to give us some pretty good footage. The camera sensor is also one of the best I've seen with a Holy Stone drone. In terms of the on-screen telemetry, we have the compass on the bottom left showing the position of the drone relative to you as the pilot. We have some on-screen distance metrics as well. On the right-hand side, we have our camera controls. Right now, I have it recording onto my SD card. I've turned off beginner mode. That will limit how far and how high the drone can fly. And I've set my return altitude to 50 meters. So if the drone loses connection or if the battery begins to run low and that auto return to home kicks in, that's the predetermined height it is first going to fly to before returning. And a couple of the other features that are included with the software side of things. First off, there is tracking here, active tracking. So you can either select a subject and the drone will track that subject using the camera, or you can enable GPS tracking, and then even if the subject goes out of sight, as long as there is a connection between the drone and the controller, it will actively track the position of the pilot. But in terms of the safety features, there is both manual and auto return to home. So let's go ahead and see that in action. You can see on the left hand side we have the H icon with the arrow. That is the return to home button. So again, let's gain a little bit of height there. And at the same time, we'll see how this footage looks as well. And yeah, that gimbal is providing some really, really smooth footage there. I am really impressed with that. I can see in the top right the sort of connections that we have. We have a good connection to the drone itself, along with the fact we have a good battery connection on the drone, and also we see the battery level on the charger too. So I've got to about 187 metres, which is getting close to about 600 foot. It is a larger drone, so line of sight is a little bit more visible here in the daytime with a drone of this size than perhaps a mini drone. So let's go ahead now and engage the return to home mechanism. Do you want to return the drone automatically? Slide to the right. And it's now going to head to that 50 metres height. It's turned around by itself and it is now returning to home. So I can see the drone coming at a pretty nifty speed there. And I'm going to be interested to see just how far it gets to the position that we took off from. Okay, the drone is coming down, but not at the best angle. So I'm going to cancel that return to home now. It's not exactly spot on though, and there is a tree above me, so I wanted to make sure that I had full control. But the return to home functionality at least works. I've tested that out and I'm happy with it. So I'd say the drone was probably around 7 feet, maybe 8 feet away from the takeoff position. Not particularly accurate. If I let it continue on of its own accord, it would have landed on the roof of this shed. So yeah, that's why I had to stop it. Okay, I'm going to bring the drone in for a landing now. Now, you've seen some of the footage that I recorded during that test flight, and hopefully you'll agree with me, especially if you are familiar with some of the previous models of Holy Stone drones, that it has been vastly improved and is definitely, it's more than usable footage, whether it is capturing memories for your own sake or whether you are using a drone such as this for more commercial means. I think the Holy Stone 600 is going to be able to fulfill both needs, especially because the in-flight stability of this drone is probably the best I've seen with any Holy Stone drone before, and it's definitely comparable to the drones from DJI. But overall, I would definitely recommend the HS600, both in terms of the fact that it has very good stability, so it's going to be a great experience for all pilots, but especially for beginners. But also the recorded video footage is absolutely fantastic, all things considered, and the image stabilization is a lot better than I expected, considering this isn't a full 3-axis gimbal. It is combining that 2-axis gimbal with software stabilization, but it works very well. And although, yes, you do need to be careful, because this has a little bit more bulkiness to it, you can fly it in some winds, perhaps when they are stronger, than you would for some of these smaller mini-sized drones. And having this extra battery included as well for the additional 28 minutes of flight time is, I'm sure, something we can all appreciate. So folks, I think it's a great drone. I think it's going to be great for beginners, or if you just want to step up from perhaps a previous budget model that's a little easier to fly and can capture some better footage, then you may want to consider the HS600 for those reasons too. But thank you so much for stopping by and checking out the video. Quick review for the HS600. Hope it's helped. Happy flying.